Hey YouTube, Brian LCS. Thanks for stopping by the channel and this video, Spider-Man number 7 review, End of the Spider-Verse Part 7, Spider Genesis. So unless, I think if you lived under a rock, you may have not have heard about this book this past week. This book introduces a new spider character. And so Dan Slott had mentioned this a few weeks ago, posted it up on Instagram, and there was some beginning buzz about the book. And then this book dropped this week. There was the A cover, and then there was a variant cover that showed off Spider Boy, a new Spider-Verse character. And things went crazy. If you take a look here on eBay, books were selling for 20, 25, 35, $40, kind of all over the place. Some big spec on this book. So I'm not really sure. I don't know where this character is going. But right now, this book is very hot because of the new Spider-Boy character. So let's jump into the review. There's going to be spoilers ahead. So if you haven't read this book and plan to, you may want to tune away. So let's jump in. Take a look at the creative team, and we've got Dan Slott writing, Mark Bagley on pencils. Here's the rest of the team. And then here is the synopsis lead up into the story. Now, this story's been a little bit all over the place because of the amount of spider characters that have been involved, and this issue is no exception. And so we lead off with Peter Parker, non-Spider-Man, who's been kind of Silk's man in the chair, working on a web shooter, and he has some other fellow spider characters, spider friends from the Spider-Verse helping him. He's got some bad spider folks that have been transferred and bit by Sathra's wasp and turned into some of her minions. So we see where last issue left off, where Silk used the totem dagger to cut into Morlun, one of the inheritors, and released a big burst of energy, and now all of the turned Spider-Verse characters are now back into their original form. So we see this big splash page here with all of the different characters. Morlun now here, who is very weak in a fragile state, but he basically takes off, and we see that there is a his story will continue in another storyline. And so now we cut to all of the spider characters, and now they're dealing with a giant-sized Sathra who is still hell-bent on taking down the Spider-Verse and all of the spider characters. And so now, the army of all of the Spider-Verse characters are going to try to take her down, and they're trying to figure out, how are they going to achieve this? And we see them go at her and attack her, and then in comes Miles and the Spider-Mobile. And he was kind of tasked with going out to some of the other universes and dimensions to pull in some additional Spider-Verse characters who have not been turned to help in the battle here against Sathra. And we see that Miles was able to bring in all of the giant spider bots, so they are here now to aid in the battle. And then we see the Spider-Verse folks who have now regained their true identity and are not minions of Sathra, come into the picture with Peter Parker. Peter Parker, non-Spider-Man, just the very intelligent scientist. And so he's developed this web shooter to help stop Sathra. And so he takes his shot, and we see that she is taken down and basically disappears after a big, blast of energy. Now all of the Spider-Verse people are trying to figure out, what has gone on. And they see a little image of, I believe it's Nath, who is basically the first spider totem that they saw in one of the previous issues. And she's bearing a gift, and she gives a gift to the spider folks here. And this is the talisman. So basically this was an ancient item that believed to be able to bring people back, or bring spider people back that were severed from the web of life. And so they go ahead and enact it, and we see that Jessica Drew is restored. She's brought back to life, connected back to the web of life. Everybody's excited. Spider-Man Noir is tipping his hat. He's excited. And then we see our next piece of the puzzle where Peter Parker, the non-Spider-Man, now is rejoined with his history and becomes the full Spider-Man / Peter Parker. And so he's back to being the Amazing Spider-Man. And then he realizes with this, oh no, he needs to call Aunt May because he was severed from the web of life, and never became Spider-Man. He was able to save Uncle Ben in an earlier issue. And so his first instinct is to call Aunt May, and she's kind of waking up from a bad dreams almost, and we realize that Uncle Ben is no longer with us. And then we see another character get revived through this process, and we see that the Scarlet Spider is now back. Kane, the Scarlet Spider. And then now here is the introduction of this new character, Spider-Boy. And so he says, whoa, what are you talking about? I'm right here. It's me, Spider-Boy. Peter, Miles, hello. We've been on a million adventures together. Guys, you know me. It's Bailey. So we see his first appearance. His name is Spider-Boy, and then he reveals that his real name is Bailey. And then he's basically like, he's a little angry that they don't recognize him. And so he's like, screw you, I'm out. And so he web slings off, and now he's gone. And so the rest of the Spider-Verse characters are trying now to figure out what is going on. So there's this conversation back and forth. We realized through this that Peter Parker Spider-Man was not the true chosen one. That is actually Silk. Silk and Peter had this little conversation, and Peter is okay with it. He doesn't, it kind of feels like a little bit of a burden that's been lifted from him. And he lets Silk know that it's okay. And he swings off and he says, I'll just, I'll be their Amazing Spider-Man. And that is it. That has how the end of Spider-Verse wraps up. 7 issues in, we get the introduction of this new character. And now, we're going to continue with this series. This Spider-Man is an ongoing secondary Spider-Man story by Dan Slott and Mark Bagley. And we'll see where this goes. I'm more excited about this now to see what Dan Slott does with this storyline as we move forward, that we're done with the end of Spider-Verse and all of these different characters, and a kind of a very, like I said, just because of so many characters, a little bit hard to follow. Although I think it wrapped up okay, I'm looking forward to us moving forward and seeing what Slott does with this secondary, ongoing Spider-Man story. So, but overall, it was pretty good. I'm going to go with a solid 3.5 webheads for this issue. And thinking about the series, the story arc, the 7 issues overall, I'm going to go 3.5 as well for the overall story. Not bad. Like I said, my biggest complaint, too many characters, but interested to see where this goes. So that wraps up this review. Let me know what you think. Did you buy into the hype of Spider-Boy? Did you get the right cover? Now there's a second print that has been already announced, and people are still buying these at pretty high prices on eBay. But beside the spec and the new character, what did you think of the story overall? The end of this, how it wrapped up? Let me know down in the comments, and we'll see you for issue 8. Thanks for watching.